Welcome back to In the Shadow of Fire. This is session number 2, entitled The Big Bridge. Last session, the town of Kasari Yanwi hosted the ambassador Shale Aristotle, who left out of the capital city of Graculia in the Rented Isles to stop in the town briefly, passing through, to continue on to the um, Nardasi Bridge, and then beyond to the Adamant Isle of the dwarves in the center of the Dragon Sea. Um, she will be leaving this morning, and as we discussed last session, we concluded the night and the goings on during the evening. Some failed rigorous study and some other matters were handled in the evening. But in the morning time, it is known that Ulair will be requested to accompany them at least up unto the Isle of Nardasi, which bisects the Nardasi Bridge. Um, and anyone who the lady Alcantara has deemed worthy or necessary to accompany the ambassador and her retinue um, on that trip would be more than welcomed by the ambassador as well.
Yeah, I don't care who goes abandon me.
I thought we had decided this last time that Cyril and Alcantara would stay behind. And
Well,
I think
at
that
least
Zach, your character as well.
Hmm.
Your character is going to stay behind. Is that right?
Yeah. I thought Cyril was going because Cyril wanted to go to the island where his fucking family.
Oh, I thought that I was like motivated to do all this research to figure out what's going on with what.
It's your character, you do you, butthole.
I know, right? I'm the boss of me.
are you sure about that? Are you
Oh.
sure about that?
I'm a grown ass man.
Yeah, no, I have no reason to go. Why the fuck would I leave?
Okay, so Ulair and Leaf will be traveling with Lady Aristotle along the bridge, and then the rest of you will be staying in the town of Kasari Yanwi, and Cyril will be studying and trying to look into the matter more. Halo will be going about business as usual, and I presume the same is true of Lady Alcantara. Okay. If that's 100% correct, then Ulair and Leaf, you've got travel kit, enough for a day's worth of travel, nothing too far removed. The bridge isn't too long a walk on foot. Add a character note, each of the hexagons that you can see on the map are about 10 miles. And elf walking parties can typically move about 3 normally across non-roaded terrain. Terrain with road on it would be 5. So you can kind of make it there and pretty much back within the span of a day. But that said, it looks like her and her retinue are prepared for hard travel, just as you saw them when they first entered into the town. And they have all made their way outside of the Ladies' Keep and have started to make their way towards the bridge. Alcantara, they did perform the normal pleasantries with you and your staff, basically parting amicably, but nothing noteworthy unless you want to intercede and do something.
Uh, Nothing in particular right now. No.
Okay. Lair and Leaf, it's not hard for you to find them at the fortifications on the bridge span. Um, the Lady Aristotle kind of looks to you, Ulair, and at a character note, Something that was not discussed on the side chat due to outside of game complications, but a real quick note. The Monster Hunters Guild has about 25 able-bodied individuals. These able-bodied individuals are not a part of the soldiers grouping that was handed to you by the lady. These 25 individuals are not sworn to you. They are not loyal to you. They are loyal to the job. They are monster hunters. The soldiers that you were granted from Lady Alcantara's fief is these are people who are jobbers. They are ones who work for the establishment all the time. The 25 I'm discussing with you now are basically hirelings, and out of character they will be treated as sidekicks. If you wish to hire any of them directly, then you can hire up to one to travel with you. And if they are not being treated as sidekicks, then they will be treated as followers. It is the same right as the militia you were given.
Okay. So to I guess, and so the followers I was given, they kind of stay in town, or they could potentially come on this as well.
Yeah, you could take them with you if this is a establishment function. I mean, you are technically being paid by Aristotle for this sortie. So,
okay. Two, is there like a fixed rate for like an escort thing would be that I know I would have to offer up one of the hirelings?
So we already discussed the hirelings are for you specifically. If you want to have a sidekick character, you can take on one sidekick from the 25, but they don't replenish very easily. And once one dies, it's dead. So you can continue pulling sidekicks, but they're currently nameless hirelings. That said, the militia that you have will basically jump at your beck and call. The same rule applies for you as it does for Alcantara's militia. Keeping them fed costs 1 gold, and moving them and mobilizing them, even for a day, costs more money.
Okay, so it's okay. And so if we think at the most, it's going to be there and back 2 days of mobilization, so that's going to be 4 gold out of pocket. If I don't want it to hit the town coffers, then that would be 4 gold out of pocket. I'd have to be for one guy 2 days. All right, I think I have that. If needed, yeah, I have that. So 2 guys, 8. Okay, so we're looking at that. Also, finally, how much did Badgelbog tell me the diamond was worth that she gave me?
300.
Okay. 300 GPs. Cool. All right.
And a quick note out of character: do you have history or religion trained?
Please say I did it. Please say I did it. Please say I. Dang it! No, I don't have history trained.
Okay.
Or religion.
Everything trained.
Oh,
So,
I don't have religion.
For people who are not Tim, and if you have history or religion trained, you would know that diamonds cut in a very specific pattern that make them pretty much worth exactly 300 gold, and perfect fodder for the spell Revivify, are known as bright stars.
Okay.
Is that a bright star?
That is a bright star that Ulair has.
Bright star.
Are you a bright star?
That's like a Madonna song.
Well,
Fair. I mean, that's not wrong.
It's close.
It's close. Lucky
I
Star,
guess.
but yeah.
Yeah.
I
Bright
just
star, lucky
need
star,
to do
whatever.
It's before their time, don't worry.
4 times that.
It's a very
I'm
sidereal.
just more worried about the fact
Oh,
that
wait,
Kevin knows that fact. Honestly.
1982,
Okay,
I
that-
do remember it.
Oh,
I remember
I
buying
remember,
that
of course.
cassette.
Everybody was wearing these like rubber band gummies, you know, on the wrist.
Uh-huh. The girls
You know
were,
what I'm
yeah.
talking about. Yeah.
I have no idea.
They were doing that when I was growing up too.
So anyway, Ulair, so you are bringing how many with you?
I'm gonna bring 5 of the militia type people that are not sidekicks, but just basic dudes, sort of serving as scouting.
Okay.
Have them like be forerunners. Potentially, I might do that too, but kind of we could do shifts, and that way, worst case, Well, if it's a 2-day thing, it'll be 20 gold out my pocket.
Okay. And do
I'm
you
on it.
want a sidekick, or do you want to hold off on that and decide later?
I'll hold off on that.
Okay.
Oh, come on. You know you want a Robin.
Yeah,
No,
Effective.
that's what Leaf is.
that's fair.
Leaf's a Nightwing.
That's fair.
Uh,
But I happen to be stronger than
but
you, so
you know you want an Alfred.
Alfred wouldn't be bad.
so real
Oh,
talk.
gosh.
Real talk.
I mean, I've got an Alfred.
So you were saying that Kevin is the Robin, and then Kevin says, "But I'm stronger than you," and I'm like, I wonder if that's true. And I looked over at the stream and I saw that Kevin's character has a 9 strength, and Tim's character has an 8 strength.
Oh, I am
We're
so strong.
talking big numbers here.
It's
So-
so that guitar, man.
Wait a second. I'm stronger than both of them?
The strongest physically character in this party is the wizard.
I mean,
Breaking
I didn't
stereotypes.
take the boring god stats, so
That's right.
I have negative
that's
numbers.
right. The
That's
boring
right.
god
Instead,
stats.
instead, you took one of the boring signs.
That's fair. So anyways, it's not boring at all. But back to my point. Okay.
Wow,
So
I am the strongest.
the traveling company begins its move onto the bridge of Nardasi. Do you have anything that you want to interject? Do you want to talk to anybody in particular before movement? That's for Leaf and for Ulair.
Go ahead,
Um,
Tim. You start.
I would probably, if there's, I guess this might be the watch that watches the bridge to see if they've seen any any increased activity of roguery or whatnot along the bridge.
No, it would seem that most of the company have the seafarers have made their way north ashore. There's been a bit of upswell in waves and rough conditions, and a number of the old wrecked ships on the pillars of the bridge have been swept away. They were formerly used as base camps for these pirates, but fortunately it would seem that the fair ones have pushed them astride with winds and waves.
Boy, seems like we got a little bit of good luck then.
Another one of the individuals is Suel el Falma, in his response to what he said, which is a short prayer which just means wind and waves.
Alright. And I don't know if this is commonplace or not, but I'm gonna tip them. I'm gonna tip them each a silver.
That's fine. Yeah, they... whatever. It seems that Lady Aristotle is very forward motioned and just striding with her massive retinue. Comparatively, she has a pretty sizable group with her. They travel stridently across the bridge with no concern for opposition, and they seem to have a pretty solid pace to them. Leaf, do you do anything with them or with side characters?
I think I'm going to be playing some good travel tunes, like probably with my lute, and then also probably with my flute.
What's the song about?
Lute? What's the song I play about? Probably about like elf travels and frolicking, and kind of a fun song, something like that.
Just a happy tune. Okay.
Yeah, happy tunes.
It doesn't seem to catch Lady Aristotle. She doesn't seem to be too moved by it. She seems to be very determined and focused, but it does seem that her retinue does seem to pleasantly enjoy the tune in question. As the day travels on, we'll slide back to town and just ask what's going on there. Lady Alcantara, morning time, you see off the ambassadors group, and then
Then I basically think that probably I'll see what is next on the docket of things which must be completed. Unless there's something in particular, I imagine I'd go about my normal morning routine where I'd probably want to get a report from I have her name written down somewhere. The captain lady. Nope, that's the wrong set of notes. Valesh. Captain Valesha. I'd probably want, just like nothing terribly in depth. I'd imagine I just need a basic report if there was anything that came up. I'd imagine also that there probably would be some report in terms of if there were any like financial issues from the magnate, and I imagine also I'd probably have occasionally to take a look. Again, since we're on the coast, we have a port. Comings and goings of ships, if there's anything necessarily going on in the market in terms of trade that needs taken care of. Like, I imagine that there is sort of like a routine built in for things that need to be taken care of in the town. And I'd probably want to take care of that stuff as much as I could in the morning.
Do you have public availability, or do you keep yourself guarded?
I was going to say, so that in the afternoon I can take care of any other extraneous affairs of state in terms of if there's any rulings that need to be done in the local area, or
sure. I guess my main question is do you receive members of the public into your audience if those people wish to have you, or do you handle that kind of business through your intermediaries? Are you more of like a I hate to bring up a Game of Thrones reference, but like a Daenerys Targaryen who sits there and like receives people who have complaints and problems? Or are you more of like a, kind of back, not paying attention kind of?
Yeah, no, I'm a very hands-on ruler. If there's a problem going on with like the people, I want to know about it so that if I need to make a ruling, I'm there to make a ruling.
Okay. A couple.
I want to be the one seen in the seat of power, basically.
Gotcha. A couple of the merchants of the region, specifically merchants who use the town as a point in their trade route between the Rended Isles and the Free United Coastal Kingdoms to the south. Several of them seek to make audience, and Valesha would make you aware of the fact that these audiences are basically at your pleasure, but they are expected. They're expecting. They are currently waiting upon you this morning, if you wish to receive them.
I suppose after I've finished up a little bit of this other work, yes, I could receive them.
Okay. All right. If there's anything prior to that you in particular want to mention having been done, or if that was just a statement of you kind of doing the busy work that you would do aside.
I'm just figuring I try to get the busy work done within the morning so that I don't have to worry about that after I've seen people.
Sure. Cross the I's, dot the T's, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm also just picturing she is not the, again, being brought up as she was, she's not the biggest people person, so she doesn't want to feel like she has extra work after the hard job of dealing with people, which
it's the largest chore.
Yeah, she's leaving the largest chore for the last, basically. Paperwork, that's fine. People, that can be pesky.
Okay. The merchants, as they kind of are led into the room after a fashion, you're sat astride your throne. It looks like in the time that they've been kind of left to wait, have kind of formed an agreement with one another. You can just tell, looking at them, that they've elected the person who's going to speak on their behalf, and that may not have been what they walked into the situation starting. You can kind of tell that they're a hodgepodge, and the person that they're pushing forward is being done. It's being done because they've just agreed to allow him to speak first. The gentleman is a dwarf. He is surly. Definitely looks like he is very well weathered. Seen a lot of wind and waves himself. And he is wearing finery, but it definitely looks like it's a bit older. It's definitely seen a lot of sun and the like, and the colors are faded. and a little bit of tear and rip at the edges. He looks to you, and he says, "Lady, my lady of the town of," and he kind of thinks for a second, shakes his head, and then says, "Kusari Yanwi." And you can see that he's pausing and hesitating, and at first you think it's because your usual thought probably. Go ahead and make an insight check.
Ten.
You think
And also 10.
You think it might have something to do with your appearance, but you're not sure. It's definitely weird. He's being so awkward. And this is the first time you've met him, but he is trying to speak. Do you allow him to finish, or do you interject?
I'll allow him to finish right now.
He says, I am Maddox Cobrion of the Adamant Isle. I have been trading through your city, and these individuals here have been trading through the city as well. We have seen a number of increased attacks upon our ships near and around the Nadrasi Bridge. It seems that the bandits and pirates in the waterway have become emboldened. My attack, he shakes his head and kind of looks down. My ship, the Floating Rock, was attacked just 3 days ago. We were able to make it here and to port, and your wharf master and the laborers therein have been able to assist us in performing repairs, of which I am eternally grateful. But I ask you, lady, what is it? What is your plan? What do you seek to do? And you kind of see as he says that, the others kind of go, yeah, and kind of like get emboldened.
Well, Maddox Coberman of the Adamant Isles, of course, the safety of all of our visitors is a issue that is near and dear to my heart. As for what I shall do, why, of course I must do what will be best for protecting my city and making sure that I protect those who visit it. So of course I shall send some of my troops to investigate this and take care of the bandits.
That's
Anything that was lost shall be returned.
Oh, that's more than fair. And he looks back to the others. Yeah, they kind of nod in agreement, and they say, we will make sure that everyone that we deal with knows the grace and glory of the lady of Kusari Yanwi. And they all kind of nod, and you can see that Valesha's kind of stepping up behind them to motion them out. As they all kind of bow lightly and turn to leave, you notice that one of the 5 merchants doesn't go, and they kind of look back at him longingly, like, what? But they get ushered out, and the one merchant just remains standing there.
Do you have something else you wish to say, Sir Merchant?
I do, but not in current company, my lady. And he waits until Valesha continues ushering out the others. Valesha finishes pushing them out and closes the door behind her, looking at this man kind of conspicuously. My name is Reams. I have information that might be of importance to you and those you might be affiliated with.
And of what nature is this information?
The bandits, the pirates, the grouping around the Nadrasi Bridge. He reaches into his coat slowly. You can hear Valesha kind of stepping forward a little bit faster to get closer to him and reaching for her sword. And he pulls out a piece of paper.
I just put my hand up to her, like,
Yeah, she stops
don't worry so much.
at your command, and he pulls out a piece of paper, and he holds it up over his head, and reaches it out towards you. Valesha looks to it as if she's anticipating you to command her to take it and bring it to you.
In the chamber, I'm assuming actually I'd probably have Cyril there.
I don't know.
Unless
He's
he
studying.
Well, I was going to say unless he was otherwise preoccupied.
Yeah, so Cyril would be in the tower doing some serious studying, and his page, Alberic, would have been told not to disturb him unless
Would you have sent
unless your character, Matt, requested.
Would you have sent Albrecht in your stead to basically stand in court in your position?
Is that customary?
Could be. It's entirely up to you. There's no rigorous rules in the Elven Lands.
There's no rigorous rules. So I'm going to say no, although if Alcantara has some other kind of page or servant that passes her notes and things like that, go ahead.
I was going to say if he wasn't there, then I'd imagine I'd have like my handmaid or something nearby in the room.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect the captain to be the one to pass me notes, basically.
Naxi will kind of walk forward, take the parchment from the individual. Naxi being currently a half-elven woman with long brown hair. She wears very simple attire, kind of a corset and like purple shirt with a kind of brownish, kind of ruddy, natural-looking colored cloak that kind of keeps her unnoticed, but still present. She takes the parchment and hands it to Lady Alcantara.
All right, and what is on the parchment?
If you open it up, you'll see that there appear to be a number of transactional notes at the bottom, signature at the base of those transactional notes, and a couple of what appear to be like map marker notes, but no map present. And you'll see that it appears that whoever is being paid here, it looks like there's a number of individuals who are being paid according to the notes. They're being paid to hold the Isle of Nadrasi and to move through and blockade the Nadrasi Bridge and the northern-bound ships from the Free United Coastal Kingdoms.
Wait, blockade it from ships from the Free United?
Anything that's moving northly through and under the bridge needs to be stopped.
And is there? You said there's a name on the paper. What?
Yep, the name at the very, very bottom. It's signed. Apologies. Just signed J. The letter J.
Do I have any idea of someone who would have the letter J that would be like in any?
The first thing that kind of
power
pops to your mind is that there have definitely been lots of rumors and whispers about them. My brain is not working.
It's fine.
Hold on. Those thievy guys, spy people.
Manigault Bay? What's his name?
No, that's Manigault Bay's the favored ones.
Alright.
The Mastiff Peninsula, those folks.
Got it.
I'll have it here in a second.
Don't have a handout for it.
The Robbed Here Society. Johann Robbed Here. J. Johann. That's probably the first presumption.
Right. And where, sir, did you come across this?
We were attacked by pirates. We didn't run like cowards. The ship that I captained and worked from, the Aquila, was strong enough to push back the borders, and actually we detained the ship and dragged it here. We will be leaving the ship with you, as it's something we found on your lands and in your waters, but everything that was on it has been taken, including the people aboard it.
I see. Is there anything else, or is this the...
That is the extent
most
of
part?
what I wish to speak with you about. And I thank you for the opportunity to do it.
Of course. Captain Valesha, would you be so willing to go with this man and see the ship in question?
Of course, milady. And Valesha bows and then turns and leaves with him. The only person remaining with you is Naxi, who kind of leans in and says, "If it is the robbed here, they wouldn't leave notes and such about. They're not..."
I sincerely...
Go ahead.
Sorry, you continue.
They're not that stupid.
No, this seems to have a bit of a suspicious air to me. Just to be sure, you said in the notes that she was a changeling. She is actually...
Yeah, I wanted to keep that secret, but yeah, we can blurb it out. It's fine. Naxi is a changeling, yes. She is...
No, I was...
She has no combat abilities. She is very cunning, and she is hyper, aware for you.
Yeah.
The
reason why I was saying that is because I was wondering if she would be willing to, follow at a distance. Not to, interact or anything like that. Just
She will.
follow at a distance and see what's going on without being spotted.
If
That's
that's-
why I was more...
If that's your pleasure, yeah, she will. And so, her main three things are shadowing, like you just suggested, duplicating, basically falling in as you and being the one who talks instead. And then the third thing is just being present as a rando. But yeah, dun dun dun. Let's go ahead and talk about this wizard. Who is in... It's Tim. What are you doing?
Driving a truck.
Why are you driving a truck,
Driving
Tim?
a truck.
Alright, he's no longer driving a truck.
Hello?
He muted himself. It's fine. So, anyways, back in the study. Go ahead and make another Arcana check.
Right, so just as a reminder for the audience at home, Lady Aristotle, tell me if I'm right about this, John,
Mm-hmm.
said something about the schism and mentioned a they, and that really piqued Cyril's interest because his father and his grandfather, in their books, there were dwarvish arcane formulas that he has yet to be able to read, and he thinks is connected to their disappearance and something across the bridge. Is that right?
Correct. 100%.
Okay. So now we're gonna do a little baby arcana check. And I'm gonna blow my inspiration that you gave me because I'm such a great guy.
Fair enough. 25 is pretty good. So as you're studying throughout the morning and throughout the day, you find a lot of chains that kind of continue linking you to more information and delving deeper. Small hints, tidbits, things that are not relatively important to the narrative but are important to the study. And as you continue burning through them, you keep on going deeper and deeper into parts of the library in the tower that you haven't been in quite some time. And you start to see strange patterns in the books that you're pulling. They'll be in dusty sections of books, deep in lower portions of the tower or up in higher portions of the tower that have often gone overlooked. And they'll be in areas that appear to be very dusty, but the sections around them are strangely not as dusty. Someone relatively recently has looked through these tomes.
Would I know who might have access besides my my people, my scribe, my apprentice?
So most folks are allowed access to the libraries. Again, there's no strictures saying that these are they're not supposed to be touched. And so some of the way that you are able to kind of make currency with the tower is when people arrive in town, they will ask for, access to the library and give donations and the like. So you're not sure who it might have been, And there's no real like surveillance or anything that would allow you to detect that. But if you'd like, you can go ahead and make an investigation check to see if you can't maybe discern a bit more about the patterning and how it might lead you to something different.
Okay, not very good. 9.
You're too determined and focused on what you're doing right now to deal with the strange coincidence that this might present. It definitely logs into the back of your brain though that someone might have been doing the same pattern work as you. You're just not sure when. It's definitely based on the dust and the like. It's been within the year. So, but with that Arcana check, if you spend the rest of the day continuing to search, and basically narratively, we're gonna explain what happens with you in the discussion towards the end of it.
That's what I'd want to do.
That's your goal. Okay. All right, then we're going to shift to Halo. You are in the town, definitely focused on the temple probably and your business there. And again, early morning through the day, just tell me what the business of the ferry is.
So I imagine first things first is getting up and checking in the fields with the groundskeeper, seeing, making sure everything's kind of running smoothly and that we've got enough crop and enough food and everything's going on.
Flaxius explains to you that lots of folks have been coming in and helping around with what we're doing. A lot more folks have been coming in needing a nice place to sleep too, Halo, and it's a little concerning. They say they've been pushed out of their homes to the north, and I forget the name of the town, but they say that they've made their way here in hopes of seeing the good grace of the Pale Lady, is what they call her.
And these new folks, do you mind introducing me?
Well, I mean, yeah, I can if you want to go out there and talk to them. They're currently busy, or we could wait until midday lunch.
Well, if they're new, I'd like to introduce myself sooner rather than later.
Oh, I think you have. I think.
Of course.
I think you've.
Then we can wait until lunch.
Yeah, you're thinking about it.
Also,
go ahead.
One thing to note: this is different from the way Halo looked yesterday with the ambassador, but he now has his halo of light shining brightly. He's like in his temple, in his place. He, without any special visitors, he's showing his true colors.
And Flaxius is used to this. I mean,
it's not abnormal for anyone to see. It'd be more abnormal for you not to have the halo going.
And for the narrative, again, Flaxius is just now being introduced. The groundskeeper for the temple and the farmlands thereabouts is a Furbolg. He wears kind of just muted, kind of plain clothes, yellow colors, and he kind of has like a goofy red nose, and Flaxius is pretty stout fellow, but also he's just got a really kind soul, like all Furbolgs, really. That I know. Furbolgs are cool. He will.
And he's in his true Furbolg form, not shape changed.
Yeah. He typically stays pretty cool, as does his wife. But he explains to you that once it becomes midday, he'll make sure that he pulls them aside to speak to you specifically.
Of course.
And you're thinking about it. About a dozen or so new individuals did come into the town in the last 6 days or so, and
they came from the island up north?
No.
He was saying?
They came from the forests, into the Fae, into the forest areas.
That's what from the Rendon Island.
Yep. Okay. Do you have anything between then and lunch that you want to do?
I imagine it's always check the grounds, check the kitchen, and with the cook, and then check in with Pieball. Those are my 1, 2, 3 in the morning is check in with those 3 to make sure operations are kind of.
And you can see that she is busy at work. She's got a couple of folks who are helping. They all seem to be very interested, and it seems that she's actually telling them about what she's doing in the cooking process. It looks like whatever she's cooking seems to be very heavy in kind of a moss, you think, she's using, and lots of mushrooms. Looks like some sort of stew, perhaps, or something.
Okay. Cool. So long as everything is going on track with her, she doesn't need help with anything, then I'll move on to Piebald.
Okay. And he is kind of just currently putting a shine to something, polishing what appears to be a decanter, and kind of looks over at you. Oh, hey, hey, boss.
Yeah. What's the plan for today? I believe we have a class this afternoon, no?
Oh, hey, yeah. I was just making sure the display piece that we're gonna be using to show them what they're gonna be working towards is gonna look like. And he kind of lifts it up, and it's a simple, just glass bowl, kind of perfectly smoothed out at the bottom, and looks like he's in the process of buffing out some kind of divots and raises on the glass surface.
And is there anything new that I should be aware of? Any new students? Or...
No, not really. No, it's mostly the older ones, the ones that don't want to do too much out there and work, and
the maintenance reports from town. Anything new?
Oh no, not really. No, it would seem that we're doing all right this month.
Great. We've had a pretty successful few years here. It's been
Is it true what they said that you met with the lady Aristotle from Graculia?
It is.
Wow. Yeah. She's the sister of the War Queen. That's really strange. And he kind of looks back to his bowl and continues working. It seems like it's just a novel thing, not like he has any real interest. It'd be like if, you met with Britney Spears. It's a name he's heard before.
Right. It's more like we met with Britney Spears' younger sister, Jamie.
Yeah. I mean, it's still also cool, but
it's still cool. She is a celebrity in her own right. Had
Right.
a TV show for a few years, and then she got pregnant and kicked off with Nick.
What?
See, I was actually
are we
thinking
talking
Ashley
about?
Simpson, and then she was lip syncing on the war.
We just really shifted gears there. So yeah, lunchtime comes around. You want to kind of isolate the individuals out and kind of speak to them. It looks like two of them is what Flaxius is kind of pulling aside. They're both elves. They look pretty young, maybe in their 70s or 80s, and they kind of look to you as you approach them with a bit of concern. But they don't seem to readily talk.
As soon as I approach them, you'll see the color almost turn into like a nice cool blue from my halo that's kind of shining out, and like almost a calming effect coming out from it. And it's just there's no need to be alarmed. I just wanted to have a conversation with you two.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
So tell me, you've just arrived in town. What brought you here?
Well, we've been here a couple of days. We a small coastal village, fishing village, up on the Sliver Isle, just north of here. Really small community, and it's been completely taken over by a group of pirates, human folk. They were saying that they were with the Free Kingdoms to the south. Several of us got away, but many more were captured. I don't know what became of them. We didn't really put up a fight. We're not really a fighting people. But yeah, we came here in hopes of speaking with somebody, but some of us decided that we'd probably find a better life here in this nice big city than what we had out there, so wasn't really much use worrying about it.
I suppose that is an option. You are always welcome to start a new life here amongst us, our
Last
people.
last 4 days have been really good here at the temple, and seems like the bright star is everything we've been seeking.
There's a purpose to this temple, though, my friends, and that's to absorb its knowledge, take its teachings, and then spread that life back amongst the world. You understand that, no?
Oh yeah, well yeah, but you see, for us right now, we definitely feel like we had a life that's been consumed by evil. And right now it's our goal to move on from that shock and do good, but at the same time be in a good calm space for ourselves.
It is important to take care of yourself, as always.
And we're taking care of the people in town too, according to what Flaxius said. We're doing the farming and helping out with the temple, making sure everybody's fed. The food here was stuff that I think we picked some of this stuff just a couple days ago. And Flaxius says, "You're right."
Have you spoken with Alcantara about your experiences in the north?
Well, no, we're not like leaders or anything. And we just
She's a very open and understanding individual. I'm sure she'd love to speak with you. I'd be more than happy to introduce you.
All right, roll a deception check on that one.
I'm sure that in my innocence, I believe that.
So
That's fair.
If you do have open seating like times to speak with the general public, then my understanding would be that you would want to hear these two tell their story.
The other gentleman says, it really wasn't us who wanted to speak to the pale lady of the town. The reason why we came here initially. It was Lazo's idea. And he kind of gestures to one of the tables away from them. And you can see kind of an older elf, very sunken kind of features, very just emaciated kind of look, just slowly kind of biting at the food, not really smashing it or eating it very fast, just kind of slowly piecing at it, who's sitting by himself pretty much.
I thank you both for your time. I think it's important I continue the conversation with him, no?
Oh yeah, he's the one who led us here in the first place, but he's very he's very bitter-hearted.
Oh, we can warm you to the bitterest of hearts here.
I hope so, says one of them, and they both go back to their food.
Go in peace and stay in the light. I fly off to the other guy.
He sees you approaching, kind of pushes his food aside, kind of looks up at you.
As he pushes the food aside, I'm actually gonna like cross-leggedly sit right there where the food was, right on the table,
Kind of
and
looking
like
at you.
sort of nod my head and introduce myself to him. So, Laxius, was it?
Lazo.
Lazo. Sorry. Halo, brother Halo.
I know. We've met before.
It's a more formal conversation when we get to speak. So, intimately, no?
It's fair, I suppose.
So, tell me what brings you to my home.
Pirates destroyed our village, and we moved here. And I've been doing everything I can throughout the day to stay alive, fed, and with a shelter over my head, and you provided that. And I'm very
Sorry,
hopeful.
You said you destroyed your village?
No, I said pirates did.
Pirates destroyed your village.
Why would you think that?
Sorry, I missed. You speak awfully quick and awfully quietly, my friend.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's not something to apologize for. We are who we are. You know?
When you're out,
Just trying to get the clearest clarity.
when you're out in the Dragon Sea, you don't have much time for words, just actions.
That's fair. So, tell me, was there anyone left in this town when you left?
I presume, but I don't know what they did with them. They were soldiers on attack ships. It looks like they came from the kingdoms.
And have you... I apologize. Have you met with Our Lady to tell her this?
I've been trying to reach out to her, but unfortunately I don't know how to schedule such an appointment. And I've been working hard to make sure that I'm holding my own here in your temple. Do you have the ability to get me such a audience?
I do. If you give me the pleasure of communing with you for a moment.
Okay.
And I will hold out my hands to kind of take one or both of his hands, depending on the size difference.
Looks confused and kind of brings his hand out.
As he takes my hand, I want to try and use my read light feature on him and see if he lets me do it.
He's resistant.
I'm not gonna push him. He doesn't even need to make the save. I'm not gonna try and push it if he's resistant initially. I'd say, friend, tell me, why...
What are you trying to do?
From me?
What?
I just wish to get a better understanding of you. There are things that you are not saying that I just wish to feel. You can see how I'm feeling, and I point to my own light above me, which is clearly blue and calm and depicting my personal inner emotional light. All I wish to see is what you're hiding from me, the way I've shown you. Is that fair?
I don't like this.
That's fine. I immediately pull back, let go. Just know that trust is something that is earned, and the easiest way to earn it is to be a little vulnerable. All I wish is to see that inner light inside of you, and as soon as you're willing to show it to someone, I'll be happy to see it.
He stands up
Okay?
and kind of moves towards the exit.
And, brother, are you available this evening to meet with Our Lady Alcantara?
He stops and looks over his shoulder. I've got to go. And he continues leaving.
He knows where to find me.
Make an insight check. Yeah. You are able to understand that his resistance was to the kind of magical nature of the read light ability, not so much the read light ability itself. You know that tapping into a person's emotions in this way and seeing the emotional state of a person, it can be considered a kind of magical intrusion, which can...
That's why I always,
Oh, no.
I always read
No, no, no.
that,
I know, but you would know that same feeling might be presented if someone were the target of a spell that was not so mundane, if it was actually a forced intrusion. So if someone were to cast spells like Charm or Dominate or something to that effect. So your presumption is that that gentleman, Lazo, has had such spells cast upon him, and that appears to be why he was resistant to your efforts.
Okay.
All right.
Did the best I could.
Yep. Just something that's noteworthy. All right. So I think I've got all three of the town people done, right? You make it to, this would be for Kevin and Tim. You make it to the Nadrasi Bridge at about hour or two after noon. When you arrive there, the very first thing, the first feature that you would see is the stone bridge gives way to an archway made of wood, known as the Arch de Woad, which is a massive just greenery of a tree that seems to have grown up and over itself and then down into the ground. Or perhaps the other way. Basically, it is a tree without a top. A tree that goes up and down back into another root structure. And you enter past the arch. and you can see that it kind of gives way to forest and jungle area. For you, Tim, this is something you've seen before. You've been in the island before. You've hunted creatures in this island before. You've definitely been out here with probably a couple of the gentlemen that you brought along with you, or gentle ladies, or gentle people would be a better way of saying it, before. That said, you start to move through the area, and I would like for the two of you to go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Okay. And just as like a setup in my head, what I would be wanting to do with the people with me is like 2-man teams running out. That way, if one needs to, one can keep eye on any trouble up ahead and run back to alert us and try to keep pace ahead of us. And then eventually, as we start to make some pathing, just because I'm kind of paranoid having to be with some important lady, I would then have like a 2-man team, or 1 or 2-man team, 1 man drop, like lag behind to then just occasionally to see if is anything maybe trying to come up behind us.
Of course.
And the idea is that they are exerting themselves, and I want enough to maybe occasionally, if I have to, I might have to take a turn too in doing that.
Okay.
So no one's overexhausted. But anyway, perception check.
Mm-hmm.
I rolled a 14.
All right.
I rolled a 6.
So
Not so good.
one of the scouts that you just described does come back. It says to you in a whispered tone, "There's something up ahead. Do you want to see it first, or should I make them aware? It looks like dwarves that have been slaughtered by some beast."
Oh shit! Couldn't have been easy, couldn't it? Oh, well, I guess we might as well make them aware to maybe not rush towards it, and we'll go check it out for ourselves.
Okay.
What would be the proper way to address Sister of the Shield Lady?
However you want.
Hey, Toots.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Leaf, can you come here for a sec?
She walks over to you, curious.
Oh, so just so you know, up on the bridge, further up ahead, there's been some slaughtered dwarves. Seems like some kind of beast. I'm gonna go check it out, just make sure everything, see where it went. And
We'll hold here.
All right, sounds good. Anyway, yes, I'll be off then.
Her formation surrounds her, and they look like they take more of a martial stance, and defensive stance around the courtiers mainly, and also the ambassador. You and the 4 that you have in the front move out with you. Do you take Leaf, or do you leave Leaf?
Yeah, actually, I'd like that. If I could have like eavesdropped on when he was talking,
Absolutely.
I would have been like, could I go with you?
Yeah, sure. I could always use an extra hand. And also, like, I had called you over because basically I was gonna have you tell her what's happening while I went off, so I didn't have to deal with her. And then she heard and came over, and I'm like,
She came over too quick. Alright. You did good anyway.
yeah, like I'm just trying not to deal with like important people because that's not my jam.
That's good.
So,
Sure.
So the 6 of you then travel on ahead to check out the situation. As you're approaching, you can kind of smell the pretty familiar smell of death, kind of lingering as the wind seems to be pressing at a southwesterly rate. You approach and can see that a part of the bridge that has basically kind of collided with a bit of the earth and the low portions of trees appears to host what looks like a small campsite. There is a ring of stones with embers still kind of slowly kind of smoking, smoldering in them. And the bodies that kind of encircle it look like most of them were asleep. You do see that their throats appear to have been slit, and they don't appear to have been ravaged in any way, shape, or form. It looks as though the sentries which you find 3 of just around this camp, appear to have been pinned to trees with swords. When you inspect them, you note that the swords are dwarvish in make, and it looks like the sheaths to them are at the belts of the sentries.
That with their own swords.
It does look like they were killed before they were pinned. You do notice other markings on them that look like they were in combat. If you'd like, you can go ahead and make either an investigation, survival, or perception check, your choice.
I think I'm best at...
They all do different things, though.
Okay. Oh, I don't have survival? That's weird. Oh, well. I definitely am... Okay, investigation. 24.
All right. So it looks
Roll
like
perception.
a grouping of
I rolled bad.
a grouping of individuals with very hard to track footprints and steps moved in on these individuals. You are pretty sure that they were elves, just based on the way that they moved. It does look like the renegade bands of elves that do live on Nadrasi island appear to have moved against these dwarves and butchered them in a nighttime assault. It does look like, besides the small arms, swords, and the like, it does look like more massive armaments were present, but look like they have been taken. Based on everything you're seeing here, it looks like this group of dwarves was intending on moving onto the Nadrasi Bridge with a show of force. You're not sure if it was for you, your town, I mean to say, but it definitely seems to have been pointed in that direction.
Hey, John, what do you mean by, like, something that was a heavier? Like, are you talking like catapults or that sort of thing?
Ballistas.
Ballistas?
Yeah.
Alright.
And arbalists are the other thing, which are kind of smaller ballistas, or bigger heavy crossbows.
Alright. At least it looked like... I don't know if they did us a favor or not, but the elves from the Isle, they... Looks like they came in and butchered these dwarves. I hope this doesn't cause problems for us. Looks like they made off with some weapons of war.
Yeah, I think it will cause problems. Because to some dwarves, an elf is an elf. So
Aye.
this could be a problem. We will have to tell Lady Eris Nodal.
I'll leave you to cushioning the blow. Her job's gonna be a bit harder when she heads over there.
Yes, I agree.
Here.
And then, should we head out then, or?
Take 2 of my men and head back. I'm gonna do a little bit of reconnoitering with the rest, just to make sure, see what direction they went. Maybe we can ferret them out. Find some track. Keep an eye on it.
Let's stick together. I fear that they may be too powerful for such a small force.
And then, Eulara kind of does a tick of like slightly annoyed, but all right, because I had urchin motives at heart. But whatever. No, we're still together. Like, I just won't try and pilfer the bodies to find if they have any valuables on them. So after that,
you know what? They're all dead. I don't know if that would be that weird to do that. You're trying to find information about them, like get their wallet, that type of thing. Do they have an adventuring wallet? I don't know.
Well, if you're trying to kind of segment away from that and try and pilfer them, is that your goal?
that was what I was going to do if I could just not have
Leave present.
around. Yeah.
You could probably have me just out of the way and kind of, you know what I mean, like not too far away, and
Yeah.
then go around and grab it all.
If you want to make a stealth check to hide the fact that you're doing it from Leaf, go ahead.
Alright, I want to see what this bad boy rolls. 33.
Holy shit!
Yep.
It's okay, guys. Don't worry.
He
Tim
probably
isn't
killed 14.
broken at all.
So,
Yeah.
during the process of searching, you kind of move about the area very stalkingly so, and Leaf doesn't seem to catch on the fact that you're dropping down and pilfering them of their things. But you come to a point in the process where you find something that makes you kind of stop for a second and become confused. It seems that one of the dwarves died on his stomach and kind of seemed to have been laying on something. Doesn't appear to have been rolled over or moved at all. And as you kind of start investigating it and move the body aside a bit, you realize that he is carrying what appears to be a metal container, which is round with two kind of flat tops, kind of like a small little just pillar, really. Maybe about 2 feet long and about a foot wide. Made out of black metal.
Long, one, foot, long, black metal.
Looks like it has, and one last note, it looks like it has grooves on the top, what discerns it being the top, that look like they would perfectly fit a dwarf's fingers. Like the length and width of the dwarf's hand, looks like you can kind of palm the top of it.
Okay. I just, out of curiosity, go and see how best I can contort my hand to kind of palm it as well to see if anything happens.
Your elf fingers are kind of more like spindly,
Cut out
and
for me.
narrow. You're able to grasp it, but you don't have like a great.
Yeah, John.
Oh, sorry. Apologies.
Sorry, didn't even hear
Your elf fingers are
Can't
narrow.
hear.
No. How about now?
No.
John, it's you're getting really bad at this.
Test.
I
Yep.
hear you now.
Okay. So your elf fingers are narrow, not as thick as a dwarf's. You're able to reach out to each of the finger holds. You aren't able to get a great grip on it, but you're able to hold it in that way.
And nothing seems to happen.
Oh, you're twisting?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. Sure. As you twist, it does seem to have kind of a sound, and then kind of a sound as it opens up. Once you get the lid off, a bit of smoke kind of comes out, and it looks like there's kind of like a thick kind of fog inside of the container, and something slick and solid inside. All right.
Shut it back up, if I can.
Yep. It seals well enough.
All right, that's important.
Leaf, you are not aware that happened at all, ever.
Right.
He's about to find out.
I'm about to find out.
So, Leif, I was just checking the bodies just for any additional clues, and I found this thing. And when I opened it, black smoke started coming out, and there's something weird inside, slimy and whatnot, moving about.
Real quick, Leaf, to your perception, he's been right here the whole time. When did that happen? You would have seen something like that happening.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, when did this happen?
Well, see that dwarf that's now on his back that was on his belly?
Yeah.
It happened then.
You move very quickly sometimes. I don't know how you do it.
I'm sneaky, sir.
Would I be able to analyze that? Like, is that anything I've ever heard of, or no? Like, is it arcane or anything that I can actually use to
Nope.
figure out what the hell it is? What about history?
Nope.
No. Okay, so I wouldn't know what it is. I'm like, I do not know what that is. I would. We should probably ask Eris Nodal. She is so wise and.
You would know that the container's made out of adamantine.
Oh, That is adamantine.
So whatever's inside of it is probably capable of damaging or hurting lesser metals.
Ooh. Yes, I would not open that without, adequate backup.
Yeah. It sounds expensive. All right. I guess I'll hold on to it, but I'll let you tell the lady. And
Yes.
if she wants to take a look at it, I'll hold it out for her, so she's not in danger.
Yes.
The last thing I
yes.
want is to do something that gets her hurt, and then everything comes down on my head.
Think of the stories I can write about this. Great songs.
All right.
Adventures.
You head back to Lady Aristotle and her group. She sees you approaching. She says, "What is it?"
Adamantine container. Something black and slimy inside. Black smoke emits. Once I saw that and heard it, I shut it up tight. Looks like a...
She reaches
Well-
out for it. Takes it from you. Looks at it. If this is what I think it is, this is an act of aggression. She hands it back to one of her courtiers. We'll bring this before the adamant ones and make sure that they are aware that we found this. What else did you find along with it? It probably wasn't traveling along its own. She says as she starts to walk towards the area you were just investigating. Her retinue following behind.
I kind of like jab leaf, like, your turn, you're up.
Okay. I would say I would give a big bow in front of her and be,
She stops for only a second and then starts to move towards the...
And I'd be like, we mustn't rush, my lady. We have found some important information.
You found what I think might be a very troubling sign that the dwarfs were moving aggressively on the Nadrasi Bridge. What is over there? Are the dwarfs still present?
The dwarfs were all killed by what appears to be a very strong elf force from the island, and there was
You mentioned-
What you're doing to sleep.
She looks over to you
siege weapons.
and she says, "You mentioned the Nadrasi tribes of elves during our initial discussion." She says to Olaire, "What do you know about these tribes?" Free reign, by the way. Go ahead.
Well, they're kind of, in a ways, out for themselves. Sometimes we run into the issues with them when we have to go doing our business. Sometimes they stick to themselves.
Do they ever move this close to the bridge?
Well, except for a few instances, usually not. It's more rare to see them this close.
Once we're clear of the island, we'll be free to continue on unmolested by them, correct?
Well, hopefully so.
Then let's make haste. I wish to investigate these dwarves myself to see if I can find any signs of a leader, and so I can bring that sign with me to the adamant ones. Is that fair? She walks into the
Yes.
destroyed camp, her retinue kind of looking around curiously.
And I would have made mention too at that point too, since there was communication breakdown, that I would just mention that it looked like siege weapons were walked away with the Nadrasi elves.
Interesting.
Right.
I don't know why they would have taken them if they don't know how to use them. Definitely a matter to bring to the attention of your lady. It seems like it might be a more pressing problem for your town than it will be for the dwarves. She reaches down and grabs one of the dwarves' helmets and pulls it off and tosses that to another one of her courtiers. Let's continue. I have more of a desire to make it to their city now, as soon as possible. You travel on to the end of the Nadrasi Bridge's point where it would leave the island of Nadrasi, which is the last point where she wanted you. She wanted you to see her through the Nadrasi island to make sure no monsters or anything attacked her, and to effectively act as a protection service at that point. You make a break from her at that point, do you have any final words you wish to say to her before she continues on to the Adamant Isle with her team?
Real quick, Zach, since you're a religious leader, what would be the kind of the typical farewell religious saying? Like, may the yada yada yada, whatever.
We don't have one established, right, John?
You're the guy. Again.
I'm the guy.
Free
Fuck
reign.
you guys.
Free reign.
Wasn't ready for funeral rites.
No. This isn't funeral rites. This is goodbyes.
Just goodbye.
Goodbyes.
Yeah.
We're saying goodbye.
Like peace be upon you. Like peace be upon you, kind of deal. Like what would the?
Yeah. I just said something, didn't I?
Yeah, a minute ago.
I just forgot it.
I can't
Go
remember.
in peace. It was go in peace and stay in the light.
Go in peace and stay in the light.
She nods her head,
There you go.
and she
There's
says,
there's our little
Grayskull.
fucking spoken phrase. You're welcome,
Yeah.
guys. Go in peace and
Yeah.
stay in the light.
"Sounds good." She says to you in response, she says, "May the sun guide you as well." And she turns and heads out onto the bridge with her retinue. You and your
I
company.
have a question for you.
Go ahead.
I do have a question for you. Did her courtiers took that adamantine ball thing?
Adamantine jar, yeah.
Yeah, could we ask for it to examine it back at our bat hideout or something?
Do you want to broach that conversation?
I'm gonna ask her, I'll tell her, since my lady, since we may have to deal with these dwarves in the future, maybe we could take that back and analyze it. I do know we have a very knowledgeable wizard that might know.
Make a persuasion check.
Tim's recognized him pulling a fillet.
I'm doing this.
And this is how we all die, guys.
Is this persuasion you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, sweet. At least I got an 18 on that. It's not bad.
She stops for a second. She kind of looks at you as you're beginning to talk with anger in her eyes. And as you continue talking, she kind of looks at you. And at the end of your sentences, she kind of nods her head. Taking what I think this might be right back to the ones who had it to start with might be problematic. You do make a fair point. Perhaps your wizard might have some keen intelligence on what this might be. She gestures for a courtier who hands her the adamantine case, and she hands it over to leave.
Yes! Did it! Scored! All right. You're welcome, Andy. More nerd stuff.
Understand, you give this to Alcantara first, and she will do as she pleases with it. If it goes to your wizard, then so be it. But understand that this is requisitioned by the council, and when I return, I will take it back from you, unless I deem it at that time appropriate to leave it with you in your town. Do you understand?
Of course, my lady. And may the fair gods go with you. And I try to kiss her hand unless she pulls it away or something.
She would allow it.
Yes!
She seems...
Some action.
Yeah,
Hand kissing.
weirdo.
I know. I'm a bard. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to, kiss people's hands and...
You have to be gross about it.
Yeah.
I got a little gross about it. That's
Fair enough.
Yeah, dude, if you want to be cool, don't French the hand. That's just creepy.
Oh,
You
yeah,
head
you're right.
you head back.
Like tongues in between her fingers.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
head
that's so bad.
you head back. The side note, Zach, that I saw you there.
Yeah.
You can definitely broach that with Matt before they return. Since that
Yeah.
doesn't include me.
So, question: what's the communication system like in our town for Matt? Like, how does the temple have a direct line to you, or do I have to fucking fly to the keep if I want to talk?
It's going to be a send someone to speak to them kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, I was figuring you had to send
Okay,
someone at
great.
least. I'm
Then I
not
have
sure it
to-
has to be you.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm probably gonna go because I want to go check in with your father again, like I usually do. Right?
Sounds good.
Crazy old man. So
He-
this would be like post lunch. I'm leaving the glass blowing class to Pieball because now I have to take my afternoon to go to the keep.
He, as
That's
normal,
fair.
is spending a lot of time in trance. Um, as the disease that he is afflicted by, he spends more time connected to the Feywild than anything um, else that he does throughout the days. And when he is conscious or aware in the worlds, he has moments where he kind of breaks into strange babblings, almost as if something were kind of tethered with him um, through the Feywild to the material plane, and that confusing matter continues on with the affliction that he suffers from.
I
But
imagine we have nurses watching him like 24/7 and
absolutely,
keeping track of all of this, and
Mhm.
I'm just going there to check in on them and see if he's had any ups
he
or downs.
and he does have moments of clarity, but most of the time he spends kind of locked in a torpor kind of state, locked into the Feywild and the material.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, you go to invite Lady Alcantara to dinner then?
Yes, if she does not already have other plans and would be so kind as to do me this favor.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Thank you, buddy.
All right. The dinner would happen before Leaf and uh, Lair would return, so if you want to go ahead and parse out that matter in character, go ahead and feel free.
Okay, it's up to Alcantara if she wants to sit and have dinner, and then I'll introduce her to the man that
The
I want her to meet.
the man's no longer in your temple. He
Oh,
left.
he's gone. He's not
Sorry,
there. But
I
he's back
apologize.
for dinner.
That wasn't
'Cause, my point was to bring her back to dinner because he's in the temple. I don't know what else he would do for food because we don't pay them wages or anything.
Right.
So,
If you
if
follow
he's not coming back for dinner, then
if you
I'm
follow
afraid
up,
I'll
you'll learn
he's
that
not there.
he left. He left very shortly after the temple entirely. So he's somewhere in the town, presumably, but you don't know where.
He been done traumatized.
Womp womp. Yeah, then I guess we just have a normal dinner. I would tell her, obviously, about the conversations. You heard everything that happened, right, Matt?
Pretty much. If you have notes on that, that would be good. I didn't get a chance to write it down.
Real quick summary. The Sliver Island was
Okay.
attacked by pirates who, according to survivors of the attack, stated that they were loyal to the Free United Coastal Kingdoms to the south, and they appear to have caused quite a disturbance, but none of the people who escaped feel that they are worthy to speak to the Pale Lady, which is what they refer to you as. And they feel that they can't discuss the matter with you, except for one individual came into town seeking you out directly, an individual named Lazo, who... How much do you divulge? Everything, Zach?
I tell her that he wanted to share the same story with her, and I tried to open up to him. He got scared because you've seen me. I'm assuming you've let me read your emotions in the past, right, Matt?
You know, honestly, I'm going to say no. I probably didn't. I probably
Not even
know
as
what
a
it.
child, because you would have been raised in this town, and it's hard, as a kid.
As a
when you're
child,
raised
maybe.
there,
As
you
a
know what I
child,
mean?
maybe,
This
but
is something
not
that you
not.
would be recognized happening from your childhood. Obviously, it's not something
Yeah.
we do now because you're not a regular
Well-
of the temple and a regular of my religion. But this is something that would have been done at some point because that's a huge part of being. I show you my light and your vulnerability, and some people let me read their light. And as a kid, you wouldn't have had a reason to say no, because your dad
Sounds
let
so
me all the
creepy.
time, right? Yeah, it is
Yeah,
weird.
that's-
It's weird. Religion is weird when you break it down and it's not your normal thing. If you look at fucking practices from an external, a third person point of view, they're fucking horrifying.
They are.
Listen to people chant in Latin and kneel and stand and kneel and stand and kneel and stand for
Eat
fucking
my
45
body, drink my
minutes, and then,
blood.
yeah, it's fucking horrifying from a third
For-
person
but-
perspective. But when you're raised in it as a kid, it's not weird. So if you sat down for confession, it'd be sort of like sitting down for confession with your
Right.
parents. That's what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not something you have to do now, but it's something that I would explain that I went to offer him that same confession because I also have the ability to alter emotions. So I usually start with reading your current state and then projecting a little empathy to give you like a calmer state of being to help you like center yourself again. That's like
That's
part
kind
of
of
the
dope.
practice. It's super cool. I like that's how it works. Is like once you give me the opportunity to read your emotions and understand how you're feeling, I have this class feature that lets me project like one of these 5 emotions. It's really meant to like affect things in combat, but the language says that you literally alter the creature's emotions if they can feel the emotions in those ways. So like one of them is calming. So all I would do is just like give you a moment of peace and calm after you let me feel that light within you. It's just a ritual to get you to like relax and center for a moment and like realize what you were feeling, realize what a calm feeling is for just like 6 seconds. It's literally a 6 second long action of like, okay. And then you're back in, you can like immediately go back to that motion you were feeling. But I just want to center you for a second and let you express that feeling to me and let me feel that feeling with you in this like moment of like empathy and understanding. It's a religious rite and a
Cool.
ritual that I've like kind of built into this class thing.
But I assume, and just again, not to speak over you, Matt, but I assume that Alcantara is a lot more guarded since her father's kind of become.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean-
I'm sure you've been more guarded since you were like a teenager, like since the age of 10. But like as a kid, when dad says, hey, this guy, like you had a bad day, or like you're angry with your mom and your dad, why don't you tell this guy? And I sit and I do this emotion thing with you. I let you feel calm for a second. That's a thing that's like a part of their religion in this town. That's like it wouldn't be weird for you to have done that as a
Fair.
kid. Same thing for, I'm imagining that all of you in this group have gone through the same ritual at some point, because most of you were, maybe not Kevin. Kevin would be the only one who I can't say unless he would willingly subject himself to it, because like I don't force this upon people. It is always consensual. You know what I mean? But if you want to feel 6 seconds of calm and relief,
No.
like I can give you that.
Yeah, I mean, Leaf is always up for new experience, so
Exactly.
he probably would do it all
yeah,
the time.
exactly.
He probably goes and sees you all the time.
That's the thing, dude. I can also excite you. I can make you panic, just like.
Panic not so good.
So,
Yeah, but
Matt,
it's new.
he would explain that the Lazo individual he spoke with was scared off by the prospect, and retreated from it, and appears to have retreated from the temple as well.
I wonder what else he might have had.
My way is not to pursue, but yours path may be different. And I just kind of smile at her.
Yes, well, I feel like that is generally obvious and well known.
So yeah, that's what.
Ulaire and Leaf, you arrive back in town, and where do you head to first?
Oh boy. I guess we'd want to head to the keep to see Alcantara. At
Okay.
least that's Ulaire's understanding.
Meanwhile, it is dark out in the tower. A young prodigy of a mage has dozens and dozens of books laid out on a table, notes from his predecessors, and all of this kind of sitting out on the table. When finally things start to click with the addition of one final book. The final book is entitled simply "The Shazas," and it appears to be an older volume describing the elemental nature of the Feywild and its connection to the material plane. It's listed in most books as being a shadow, an ethereal kind of second world. It appears to be just like the material plane, this ethereal essence, this Feywild, this high magic zone. But this book that you start reading through starts referring to it as more of an echo. And this kind of connects things for you in the other books as well. The Feywild is an echo of the material plane, not a shadow, not a second plane of all of its own. It appears that this book more precisely states that it is a connected essence. And what this kind of unlocks with all the information that you've been noting is that whatever this schism thing is, seems to be a kind of creature or a kind of entity that is segmented from the first entity. And from what your understanding of that to mean would be the Feywild, the first entity, this echo, this second thing. This schism appears to be a segment of raw magic from the time of the One Wood. The time before man, the time before humans and dragons and demons and devils.
And so would it be possible to harness that magic? Or I guess
It's not a magic, it's a thing. It's a creature, it's an entity, is what everything seems to be pointing to.
wow. Okay.
So we
And
have to kill it.
I don't I guess I'm thinking about what my father and grandfather would have traveled for in search of this what would have they looked for?
Sure. And so what you're seeing here is that according to everything that you've been able to track and note, it seems that the source of the schism is the Eye of the Earth, where the city of Darkhelm reigns on the Adamant Isle.
Okay.
This little lake there.
How the heck could that be?
Oh wow. Okay. Can you ping it again?
So is that like the Garden of Eden?
Nope.
Like, kind of? No.
Nope.
No.
So is that what Lady Aristotle might have meant when she mentioned the word they? They is in the entity?
You don't know. You think that she's referring to the schism as a creature or a grouping of creatures.
Okay. Wow. I would sort of write this all down in my own journal to have it.
And you feel it's a bit late and you haven't spoken to Lady Alcantara at all today. Do you wish to go and just check in with her before you turn it in?
Sure, I could do that.
You arrive at about the same time
Yes.
as Leaf and Ulere, just
And listen,
as
I'm motivated by knowledge.
Halo
Nerd.
and Lady Alcantara
Nerd.
finish their supper. You all eventually convene in the lady's court. She's probably not sitting at her throne, but she can if she wants to.
Meh.
I can't imagine I'm one to sit necessarily on my throne while there's no reason to. Just
Fine. Lady Alcantara,
yes.
we have made it back from our little travels, and as you see, Uller is with me. We have found something most interesting that we think Cyril might want to take a look at. And we also have some more to report too, but I think this is the most important. So we'll talk about it.
Cyril, watch yourself if you touch that fucking thing. I don't trust what's in it. It seems
Yeah.
dangerous.
What does Cyril see?
Yeah, you have to explain it to Cyril.
It's an adamantine round container. It looks like it's made for a dwarf's hand, and it unseals at the top, but other than that, no markings.
You open it, black smoke comes out, and there's some black slimy thing wriggling around inside. I don't trust it.
You've opened it. You've seen inside.
And shut it immediately after. I got bad vibes.
I would detect magic on it.
You would know that adamantine is very notorious for blocking any kind of divination and magic in general.
Okay, then I wouldn't cast detect magic on it.
Are you sure?
You know that adamantine can be enchanted, though, and it is not enchanted if you cast detect magic.
What else is it that has happened on this expedition?
So again, it has to come back to now I have to talk to a leader, and I don't like doing that. I like to stay back as much as possible. But
I'd like to say I'm specifically looking at you too.
Exactly, and I feel your gaze. I'm just like.
Uh,
So we found it on the corpse of a dead dwarf. There was a party on the off the bridge that it looks like the Drosy elves kind of butchered in their sleep. And they made off with some weapons of war, some arbalists, some ballistas. So it seems like the dwarves might have had some ill intent, and now the Drosy elves, probably led by my bastard of a father, probably might be coming after us.
I see. And this box, it seems as though it was coming from the dwarves more than the Nadrasi.
The box itself, at least, was under a dead dwarf, holding it in his hands.
Interesting.
Were
there any?
was going to take it with her first, but Leaf asked if we could study it.
Were there any signs as to which direction the dwarves were going? They were, I assume, coming from. I can't remember the name of the land to the east. What is that again?
Adamant Island.
Yeah.
Adamant Isle.
Yeah. I assume they were coming from the Adamant Isles towards our lands.
Well,
Yes, my lady. Right? Isn't that right? Weren't they coming towards? I mean, that's what I thought.
I mean, that's what the tracks seem to say.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So,
We didn't take much time to track down where the Nadrasi elves went, though.
It seems that as time goes on, they get more and more vexing.
Yep.
my lady, what could also be a problem is the Ardasi elves. They struck the small force with much gusto and assassinated all of them. So we may have to worry about them in the future too.
What, the dwarves or the Nadrasi?
The Nadrasi elves.
I worry about both of them.
Because you are wise, my lady.
Possibly.
Meanwhile, Yulair, just has this kind of look on his face, like, I just said that we have to worry about the elves!
Right?
Like
Kevin, it's a little
reiterating.
brown, Jesus.
I mean, to be fair, he does have a 12 intelligence, guys.
We gotta reinforce it. We just have to reinforce it. Alright, anyways.
No, it's all good, man. I love it.
Is there anything else that either of you have to report?
Yes, my lady. Lady Eris Nodal will be returning for the dwarf artifact, whatever it is. But I do have rights to write songs and make poetry about it, so I'm very happy. And our wonderful wizard Cyril can do all the studying that he wants, and but you must be quick about it because she could be coming back in days.
Well,
He would already have a notebook out and he's drawing a picture of it.
of course,
Yes,
she
that's
might
very-
not. She might not make it back at all, of course.
Do not say that, my lady.
Well,
My heart
one must
would break.
consider.
How
One
would I
must
ever
consider
write a
all the
song again if that were the case?
One must consider all the possibilities. We cannot guarantee anyone's safety in this time. Until things are resolved, we will not know the outcome.
My heart is now pounding. I must go see my friend Halo to relax me. My heart is now pounding.
Gotta
How do
get
you
that
do this
hit,
to me?
huh?
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, you're all right there.
Yeah.
I want you to go
Wait.
talk to Halo.
There's already tensions, and now it seems like they had an act of war on our doorstep. It probably will go poorly for her if that's their intent.
Oh, I can't imagine it will go entirely well.
Can you think of any
But
other
that does not mean it will go poorly.
real quick note out of character? Just want to make sure you're all keeping aware of stuff. Again, I'm not trying to force our guide, but I just want to make sure. Is there any other reason why dwarfs would be mobilizing militia to move on a bridge?
Oh,
They found a witch!
It could be the pirates, right? Weren't there pirates also attacking people from the free United cities that were coming from
For
the
United Coastal Kingdoms, yeah,
Yes.
indeed.
we don't know about the Free City connection, though, right? We just know
We don't. No, we
that
do, but they do. They know
that
about
they
it.
got pushed off due to the high tides.
Yeah. So that could definitely be related to that. Could be multiple things going on here. Right? What else? What did you find in your little books?
Brainstorm. Throw out what you know. Make
Yeah,
sure everybody knows what you know.
brainstorm.
I'm not going to tell you.
So, yeah, I was going to say I wasn't going to tell them about the pirates right now.
Yeah, I mean you don't
Okay.
have to, but it's good
No,
to know
I don't.
that. Think about it.
Oh yeah, no, it's something that I noted. I'm just saying that I'm not sharing that information quite as freely as you shared your information with me.
Yeah, and I definitely would not share what I learned with a group. If anything, it would just be with Alcantara privately later. But I mean, if we're trying to figure out a reason why dwarves might be massing, isn't it because possibly the Aristotle is the sister of the War Queen, and there's potential of war between the elves and dwarves?
Yeah, I mean that's the obvious choice. That's what we thought, but it could also be something else. Like a less obvious choice would be fighting pirates. Who else knows?
Well, perhaps we'll learn more when we figure out more about what is in this box. Maybe that will be the key.
And not that I can do much, but we're here to help if you need someone to potentially help deal with whatever's inside of it, if you really need to study it.
What's in the box?
It's Gwyneth's childhood head.
God.
You're welcome.
Fucking
What?
plot twist.
That's what the thing was wiggling around in there.
Yeah.
Do you open it?
Gwyneth's Paltrow's head, really?
Next week, Kevin Spacey shows up as a fucking weird fucking pedophile, big bad evil guy.
I mean, to be fair, it would be the biggest job that he's had in a while.
This is true.
Not creepy.
I would
So-
be so okay with killing him.
Then no one has opened the box?
No one's opened the box. I don't know if they handed it over to you or not. I think Illyria still
Yeah,
has
they
it.
did hand it to
yeah,
me.
they
How do you
handed
know
it
what's How do you know what's in it? You described what's in it already.
I
He
opened it,
He told you he
saw
opened.
smoke, saw something slamming around. I shut it immediately because it didn't
Oh.
feel right.
Okay, well, we're all here. Don't you think now is the
We're
time
not.
to try?
Fuck you. God damn it.
Oh.
You Andy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were here. I thought you were like,
Yeah, you're all here.
Yeah, you did. You just flew in.
No, you haven't left. You finished dinner with them and they arrived. You're still there.
Oh, they arrived at the
Oh.
temple? So this is all happening at the temple?
You've had
I
dinner.
thought Matt went back to
Oh, I didn't think you
Yeah.
had dinner at the temple with the lady
no,
of the
I
house.
brought him back to the temple with me. That was the
Oh.
whole point. Is I invited him back to the temple to
Oh.
have dinner quick with us.
Oh,
That way we could run into the guy at the dinner at the temple.
Yeah, but he wasn't there.
I ran to Matt.
Got it.
So he wasn't at the temple. So Matt went back to the keep, and they ran into him as he got back from dinner
Got
at
it.
the keep.
I'm
I
on it.
stayed at the temple.
I'm on it.
There's no reason for me to follow him back. To
Got it.
the
Got
keep
it.
at
I got
that
it.
point.
I got it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, alright.
and so maybe as we're talking about this, Cyril would say to Alcantara, why don't you send your page to get Halo, just in case there's some sort of evil spirit that might need
Oh,
exorcism.
I thought you meant for my heart.
Okay,
For my.
Halo.
I would prefer if you do open said box, we don't necessarily open it right in this room. It seems as if something goes wrong and there's suddenly a door. That may make things a little bit difficult to conduct business.
Can you suggest a location where we do this then?
Anywhere but my
I
house.
believe your. I was going to say I believe your tower has some secure areas.
Would that
Does
be
it
the case,
not?
John?
Yeah, it does have. There's a teleportation circle room in the higher rooms that's pretty open and clear.
Okay. So we could all go back there and maybe grab Halo along the way.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
All right.
Fuck you too, Matt.
What? I don't want suddenly. If this thing's slimy and it explodes and takes out like half of my throne room, I'm just saying, presentation
That would
matters,
suck.
man.
Okay. So if you all
So
gather together and head to the tower with the box in question, and arrive at that point, just tell me exactly what you're planning on doing.
So I'm gonna examine the box.
Adamantine.
Careful.
Strange lid
Uh-huh.
top. Looks like it unscrews.
Any markings, runes?
Just the finger holds.
Just the finger holds. Okay. I'm going to open the box.
All right. You place your fingers.
Oh wait, before he opens the box, hold on. As he's about to open it, can I do some things
Sure.
to help you out, bud? I want to cast that on him, so he gets his own little halo. And I'm also going to projection barrier at him, so roll... Sorry. Roll 66.
Not bad.
That's
like-
temporary hit points.
I'll give you inspiration. I could do that. Play a little ditty, you know.
I'm not sure PDD's the greatest choice right now.
Yeah, and I'm also going to calm you. So the first time the target would deal damage, damage is dealt in half, but the first time damage is dealt to you, that damage is also reduced by half. So for one turn, don't attack anything. But if you get hit, you'll be fine.
All right.
You're welcome, bud.
So, you open, and he's going to bardic inspiration you as well. Looks like you're getting lots of love.
Yeah.
Um,
Giving him the love.
Thank you, folks.
you undo the device, or the box, effectively, and you see kind of a dark mist kind of rising up out of it. You see something inside kind of sleek and like dark gray, kind of black in color. More of a dark gray now that there's light kind of shining into it. Kind of moving about inside, kind of undulating. You then see it kind of twist and contort inside of the device, and you see what appears to be a total of 6 red eyes, 3 by 3, basically 2 by 2 up in a pattern of 3, kind of like this. Snap and kind of look in your direction, and then
My
2
gosh, guys.
blade-like
It's a
claws
baby.
snap out as this creature flails out of the box towards Cyril. Your
That's not good.
AC is a...
Number.
13.
Okay, so I'm going to hit. Do you have any reactions?
Yeah. How about
Close
we
the box.
do shield?
Okay. 23 is the target that I hit, so that'll still cut through your defenses.
Mm-hmm.
And I ignore hit points and temporary hit points for the strike. You take
Oh.
2 vitality damage. And we can go ahead and roll initiative at this point.
Ouch.
I know you don't have tokens, so we're going to do it the old-fashioned way.
Okay.
Guys, I'm going to be so useful in this.
You're gonna be the ruler. You're gonna tell it to stop. It's up to me.
I'm going last.
So John, just to say, I actually, the token that's on the map, I can't select it.
I know. It's just
Okay.
currently for your city. Yeah, we're not doing token nonsense. We're just
Gotcha.
counting off the top. Cyril, you got a really high initiative. And I think that Alcantara and Halo will be going before it as well. So Andy, what does Cyril do? The blades kind of stab into you, and you can feel bone kind of snap underneath them. It feels like these precision cuts are digging into you, not your defenses or your like grazing off of you. Hit point damage out of character note for this game. If you block a sword blow, but you kind of feel that pain in your wrists, or if you like kind of get hit in the armor plate and you can kind of feel the pain, like bruising is hit point damage. Vitality damage is when I actually make you bleed. So this thing has its blade stuck in you. What would you like to do?
Can I try to close the box?
It kind of make a Constitution saving throw real quick for me, actually.
Oh, baby.
You can do it.
Dramatic rules apply. So it stabs into you, and you're holding the box. It is out of the box entirely. This tiny thing. It's
okay.
It's probably about the same size as Halo, actually. And you kind of, when you get hit, the weight of it in your hands and the pain in your chest, shoulder, you kind of just drop the the lid in the box. Loud thunk and kind of like a rolling sound as the round part, the main core of it, kind of rolls away from you. So you dropped it. That's what that saving throw was for.
Okay, can I act though?
Yeah, your turn.
Can I
Oh yeah, that's actually a good point. Can inspiration be added to the saving throw?
Sure. It was just to hold on to the lid. It was more dramatic than anything else.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh boy, jeez. So there's this creature with and he's got like claws into my face.
So it's got like a long it's got like a long
Is that right?
It's got like a long head. Am I coming through? Can
No,
hear?
you're good. You're good.
Okay. It's got like a long kind of
Back.
head that kind of pulls back, and then it has 6 eyes that kind of run up the length of it. It doesn't appear to have a mouth or any nostrils, and its head kind of crowns off and kind of blade-like fins off the side of it, like a squid's head, almost.
I was going to say it's basically an evil cone head, huh?
No, it's more like a weird squid head. And then it has like tentacles kind of at the base of it, and then it looks like the 2 longest tentacle portions are blade-like appendages that stabbed into you when it jumped straight at you.
Okay. Firebolt.
All right.
Best thing I can do right now.
So you kind of look down at it and shoot. You have disadvantage for the attack. It kind of misses and kind of scuffs against the ground. It's not attached to you anymore. It kind of like drops away from you and is kind of falling towards the ground at this point.
Can I take my movement to move away then?
If you do, you might suffer an opportunity attack. Normal rules apply.
Okay. Then I'll stay put and hope somebody intercedes.
All right. So Halo, you'd be going after Alcantara. So Alcantara, this thing has wounded your attendant.
So I am going to basically. Am I within? Well, first of all, am I within like its range?
Everybody's within about 15 feet, but nobody's adjacent to it besides Cyril.
Okay, so I'm going to basically just back up a little bit further, and I am going to ready an action to cast a spell if it jumps at anyone else.
Okay. Then it will go to Halo.
Okay. So I am going to bonus action cast Bright Strike. And then use my projection attack.
Okay.
Which is this, so that's the language for you.
Yep, I know it.
Okay, cool.
All right.
15 hit.
15 misses. It's
damn.
A bolt of radiance flies straight towards it. How much influence did you spend on that, by the way, for the turn?
That would have been 6 influence.
And you're not high enough level to split, right? For projection?
What do you mean?
Like at later levels, you can split your influence during. Okay.
Not yet. That's 5th level.
Yeah. So a bolt of radiance slams against the ground and does nothing.
Yep. But I have
Alright.
concentration up to a minute on that Bright Strike.
Yeah, and it only affects spells, not projections.
Oh, is that not count because it's a ranged spell attack?
So
Hit with a
it's
spell attack.
spell attack. That's right. Okay, so that would be fine actually. Never mind.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Let's see. So then it would go to it. It will be making an attack against Cyril. So Alcantara, you had a ready to action.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out the mechanics of this because what I want to cast at it was Disarming Glance, and basically it just doesn't. I'm hoping to make it so that it doesn't.
Click the spell.
You know. Well, yeah. Basically, the spell is if it fails, then it drops the objects, or like the creature drops objects or other creatures that it's holding.
It's not currently holding
Or, sorry.
anybody.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
It's also not holding
necessarily.
weapons.
Actually,
They're natural weapons.
oh yeah, no. I was kind of hoping like when it went to actually grab onto someone, like it grabbed onto them, I cast the spell so it let go, but
Out of character note, it doesn't.
I'm actually looking at it, I'm not sure it looks like that's going to. That's like the only spell I have that does damage.
Okay,
basically.
real quick, out of character note, it doesn't look like it's grappling into him. It looked like it lanced into him for like a nonce, just a second, and then pierced out of him and backed away and is kind of falling towards the ground. And it's landing at this point and getting ready to spring off the ground back into him with another darting, piercing attack. Basically, it's Sonic the Hedgehogging. It's the best
Alright,
descriptive.
well anyway, I'm going to cast a spell. It needs to make a Wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
And then 7 damage if it, and it's, I believe, yeah, it's psychic damage.
Fail. But you watch as it doesn't seem to affect it.
Okay, well, guys, I'm completely useless then, pretty much.
All right.
Cool.
It will make its
Good to
attack
hear.
against Cyril. All
Sorry,
right.
I went for mostly role-playing spells, so...
It hits again. Do you want to spend shield or no?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. This time you manage to get the barrier between you and it, and you watch as the claws slam into it. You can see the cracks in the arcana, and it seems like the blades bleed through, but the shield blocks the mass of the attack. But it looks like it would have been able to pierce through the shield. Its claws, you don't know, you're not sure what they're made out of. They appear to be made out of some sort of chitin, but at the same time, it's the substance that you're not familiar with. This creature is completely enhammering, but also scary as fuck.
Yeah, I'm out of spell slots too. I'm out of spell slots.
It drops to the ground again from the shield block and kind of hits its position. Next on the initiative docket was, I think,
Leaf.
Tim? No, Leaf, you're right.
Leaf, yeah.
Oh, you rolled real bad.
Andy, by the way, you lost those temporary hit points, just so you know. It was only for
Oh,
one
bummer.
turn.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
I did
not
it
that
wrong. It
mattered.
should have only been 2. I'm looking at the wrong influence points on my sheet because you used the same word that he used. So no, it's only 2
Yeah.
next time.
Sorry.
Only level 4.
I didn't realize that until after the fact, and I actually noted it just a second
I
ago.
realized it right now. Yeah,
I was gonna.
I'm calling myself
worries.
out right now to like let you know, and I wanted to make sure Andy knew that like he's lost his.
And
temporary
also-
hit
Yeah.
only
It's not
for
6d6
my turn
a turn for damage. It's
It's
2d6.
It's the thought that counts, Zach. I love you, boy.
I'm very sorry. Next time
It's
it'll
okay.
be
No
2d6.
worries.
It
No
doesn't
worries.
matter because he skipped over your temporary hit points
Yeah.
to vitality, but like for future reference, I will do it correctly because it's
Fair.
the first time I've gone to combat with this character. My apologies.
Happens.
Kevin, what are you doing?
All right. What Leaf will do is first thing he will do is he will yell out and be like, "I am so sorry for the present. Did not expect it to kind of blow up in your face." Then
Shut up and do something.
I would grab my loot, which is basically it's a Faklukan Bandor. It's basically a
It's a magic loot.
it's a magic item. Yeah, it's an uncommon magic item. It's basically like a bard, an instrument of the bards. So I would like strum it and launch out a cool spell. That's like
Which spell?
audio involved. Shatter. I'm gonna try to, as long as I can not get, I don't get anything besides the. I may have to put it in
Shatter-
the room, you know.
Well, shatter is a pretty narrow window. It's not a very narrow window. It's a pretty open spot. So what I'm saying is
Right.
because of its size and its proximity to
It's not going to work.
there's no way you're not going to be able to get pretty much everyone in the room with that spell. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, you're gonna do damage to all of us basically.
It's not a massive
Right.
room that you're in.
What about if I?
Smack it. Smack it.
Well,
Put it
I don't-
back in the box.
And basically, you tried a spell on it. It didn't really work too well.
Well, I did a psychic damage spell. A psychic
Yeah.
damage spell didn't do so much damage to it. We don't know if other things do. But put it in the box.
No, but I will do this.
Okay.
As I'll strum my lute thing,
Mhm.
and I will shoot out what's called a sharp note, which does piercing or slashing damage. So we'll try and see if this does any damage to it. First, I'll see if this works. Holy
Very
shit.
nice.
Roll damage.
It will just automatically do the right amount. We'll see.
Yes, lovely.
Oh,
Well,
this is
it-
a wisdom save. Though.
It shouldn't have a wisdom save for sharp note. Sharp note's an
It
attack.
says it does.
That's weird. I don't know why it's saying that, but sharp note out of character note is a spell attack and it deals 1d10 piercing or slashing damage, your choice. And it's bard only, and it's in gathering magic, I think.
I will do.
It's actually in hedges and highways, or
Yes.
advanced ability checks. One of the cool books that I've released on DM's Guild. I'm surprised Kevin did not prostitute. I mean, state that. But yes, that hits.
Oh, I know. I meant to. Dang it.
That hits. Did you use piercing or slashing?
I want to use piercing.
All right. You watch as you see a hole blast through the thing, and it kind of just noodles down to the ground and kind of spurts for a second, and then stops moving. As he throws his fingers across the strings,
Well done.
and like
I would
My
run
hero.
I would like to run over it right after I do that. And do like Cyril and kind of like try to brush him off and get him all situated. And be like, oh, I'm so sorry, my friend.
If the thing looks, are we out of initiative now?
yes, yeah, it does appear to be dead.
I go over, pick it up, put in the thing, and shut the lid.
All right.
No, no. I want to look in the box now. I want to look in the box.
Cyril, what?
Sorry, real quick. What you'll note is as you pick up the box and kind of move it, you notice that a bunch of liquid is kind of splayed out onto the ground. It's kind of it has a certain kind of it hasn't spread much, and it doesn't appear to be spreading very fast. It has a certain kind of weight to it. The best real life consistency equivalent I can kind of give you would be like a syrup. And the smoke that was in it seems to have wafted away and it's no longer present. It looks like it might have been an after result of this and the liquid combined being in a tight space for a long time. But yeah, you pick up the corpse and it's sticky, it feels weird, and you chuck it in the thing and seal that up.
Cyril, I
Wipe my
assume
hand
you got
off.
a good look at it. Do you have any idea what it was?
Would I have any idea what it was?
You can make an Arcana check.
You can use
Uh,
Bardic Inspiration on this Arcana check too.
Can I?
Yeah,
That's
you still
great.
have that.
Yeah, after you roll it, you can roll it first, and then if you want to. Oh, okay.
24.
Do you want to spend the bardic or not?
Yeah, do it because.
Use-
Yeah,
use the
I'm gonna.
Bardic just
Why
in
not?
case.
So
Yeah.
what is that? What is that, Kevin?
D6. Get a 6,
Come on,
man.
come on, come on.
That'd be so
Oh.
awesome. What's
25.
25 could be a threshold.
25 is really good.
Could be.
All right, so a couple of quick notes. The looking at it from before and thinking about it, you realize that the things that impaled you with, the claws that it seems to have coming out of it, they didn't feel like blades of metal. They felt like blades of dark wood. They felt like they were organic, like woody material. The creature itself, this weird kind of aberrant kind of form, to you immediately kind of speaks to things like twisting things from the far plane. Reports from the Akaskari Wilds kind of are similar to what you have seen. However, as you think about it more, it doesn't appear that it has a designatable form. Whereas the creatures that are in the far planes, like even the mutated like fiends that come out of the Akaskari wildlands still have kind of like a consistency. An aboleth is always an aboleth. A mind flayer is always a mind flayer, and you can kind of discern that that's the case. This doesn't seem to have a type. And the more you start thinking about it, the more you start to realize that it's not something you've ever dealt with before. And it's from the Dwarven lands. And it was pretty potent, even just by itself.
And dark wood, is that a kind of wood that we're familiar with? Especially as elves?
Darkwood is the oldest of trees, the purest of trees. Darkwood is said to have been the main type of wood present in the trees during the age of the One Wood.
Wait, so doesn't... I'm thinking back to what you just told me about the schism.
I mean, you connect the dots you want to connect, sir. I don't...
Yeah, so like, I'm thinking, does this have to do with what I just learned about...
Does it?
Yeah, I think it does. I think that something's going on. Why would it be coming out of that area? I guess I would take this time to probably explain, mostly to Alcantara, what I learned about the Dark Helm Rain. Is that what you called it?
Mm-hmm.
On the Adamant Dial, from my notes, and
Are you saying that out in the open now with all of us?
Yeah, I'm saying it mostly to Alcantara, but everyone is there, and I'm wondering out loud if this is somehow connected to that place, and what that means. I have no clue. Did you hear that, Matt?
Yeah, I heard the whole thing. Don't worry.
So, just to kind of piece it together for you, because I think you're coming on to a point here, but I just want to make sure I'm narrowing it for you with descriptive text. Darkhelm is the name of the city that rules over Ballenroth, which is the country, the civilization that reigns on the Adamant Isle. So, the dwarves of Ballenroth rule the Adamant Isle, and their seat of power is Darkhelm. The ruling party is King Zod Darkhelm, who is the dwarvish king of the dwarven peoples. So that's that. The notes that you've taken regarding the schism refer to the schism being sourced out of the Eye of the Earth, which is a lake at the high point of a mountain that drains off into the Dragon Sea. And the Eye of the Earth is set in the shadow of the city of Darkhelm, which is a city that is above the mountains and it's also below the mountains. So the high towers of Darkhelm cast a shadow down into the eye of the earth.
Oh, I have one question, John. You said King Zod.
King Zod, correct.
Does that mean that at some point
You'll have to kneel before him?
Zod?
Yes.
Correct.
Perfect.
Great.
He should get inspiration for that one.
No, because it was.
It was so obvious.
You know what?
It was good.
It was about as obvious as fuck. So yeah, go ahead and get inspiration, Matt. It's fine.
I hate to call you out on it, John, but I just
Gotta maintain consistency.
yeah.
All right.
Consistently
note
cheesy.
to self.
I
When
mean,
you
I
think of
wasn't
the
going to ask for it,
self-reference,
but I'm not
mention
going
it.
to refuse it.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. Again.
So and then Cyril's gonna wonder out loud if maybe that might be the reason the forces are massing that you just told us about. Ulair and Leaf told us about.
There's
Yeah.
somewhat of a John. How many dwarves in total were dead?
13.
There's just a small party of 13 dwarves on the bridge. That looked like they were moved with siege equipment.
Make a history check if you don't have it trained. That's fine. Go ahead, Ulair. That is.
Who? Anybody? Oh, Ulair. Okay.
Alright.
Do it.
Oh, should I use my inspiration
No.
for the crit?
18 is good enough. So what you would recognize is that they had 2 arbalists and 1 ballista, 13 individuals moving it. Based on what you know of history, especially about the dwarves in combat with the elves during their slight transgression across the Nadrasi, is that this would be what is known as a firing team. A firing team is basically used as a patrol point defense, and it's used to kind of make sure that a specific area of movement of traffic is blocked hostilely. So your presumption is that there were 2 people per the 2 arbalists, and there were 3 people on the ballista, and then the remaining individuals would basically be shield wardens and fighter types that would defend the heavy armaments.
And part of that thinking too is that like it's not to attack, but to aggressively stand against.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, like maybe to shut off the bridge or something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I make mention of that and how now that I think about it, it could be more that just with the tensions as they were, they're there to be a show force and let them know that they're not to be trifled with. And then the Nadrasi went and killed them all and stole their equipment.
That still doesn't necessarily explain why they would have this creature with them. I
That
mean,
is the oddity.
yes, it seems like a show of force makes sense. Standing there, making sure that none they do not wish to enter. But this creature, it seems more as a tool to be used for aggressive behavior, less than a defensive measure.
Well, what if it was left by the elves for somebody, maybe for the dwarves to find? Because elf, they would have searched the bodies and found it. Am I not right?
Perhaps, but would the elves be able to retrieve such a creature if what Cyril and it seems to be deep inside the heart of the Dwarven countries? Do you seriously think that they would infiltrate so far in and come back simply to kill a couple of dwarves and plant what may be incriminating evidence on them? It seems like quite a gamble for what might be little reward.
What you say is very wise, so you may be right. I do not know.
Wait, what?
Ah. Like, what just happened? Is it dinner?
What happened?
Sometimes the best thing to do if you don't is just to agree with somebody, because then you can move on to the next thing.
They're talking and agreeing, and Boulaire grabs the creature, threw it up on top of the table, and starts filleting the thing with his fucking knife.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Or at least I attempt to.
Yeah.
You're gonna wash that table, Alaire?
What type of blade are you using?
Oh no, this is when it gets bad.
I'm going to be using. I'm gonna see if I can just use my not my fancy knives, but my just standard standard dagger.
All right. Go ahead and
this is where the dagger melts.
roll a d1.
Probably.
Roll a d100.
All right. 92.
All right. Yeah, you managed to cut into it, but it's very, very tough. You have a couple of points where you feel like you're going to bend the blade, or you're going to, break the blade. It's a very tough meat to it. It seems to be resistant to the slashing damage of your knife.
Good to know. And does it seem like it has blood?
Oh yeah, it's bleeding quite a bit. It's not bleeding red. It's not bleeding red though. It's bleeding a very bright, vibrant green.
Do you think that Lady Shale will appreciate you so butchering her prize?
You would also get it on your fingers, and it feels sticky, kind of like the weird substance on the ground, except brightly colored.
Well, we already killed the thing, so we might as well try and dissect it and see what else is to be found. You're welcome, Cyril. I did all the dirty work for you.
Cyril would bow.
And I leave it on the table. I had to get over my initial shock of we had to fight this thing that I was wary about, and now it's dead. Okay, time to deal with it. Learn more about it.
Make a nature check, also, since you're cutting it open. If you have it trained.
Alright.
If you have it trained.
I don't have it trained.
Then
sadly.
don't make the check. It definitely looks a lot weirder on the inside than you were anticipating. There doesn't appear to be any discernible anatomy that you're familiar with, being a monster hunter.
Now, what's really creepy is suddenly something inside of it turns around and you see 6 red eyes, suddenly tentacle.
It's just like a Russian nesting doll of creepy creatures.
Dolls.
I didn't think that was the case, but that's exactly what happened.
That's such a good idea.
I'm stealing it. No, I'm kidding. It's not real. But yeah, it definitely doesn't have any discernible anatomy that you're familiar with.
Well, Cyril, I hope you have something with which we can hopefully preserve it if we can figure out more about it, so that we can give it back to Lady Shell.
Would I have something? Could I put it like in glass and some sort
That
of
same box.
Formaldehyde.
yeah,
you're thinking
formaldehyde,
what I'm
right?
thinking.
Well,
Or just pickle juice.
do you want to check it out? Like now that it's cut
Check-
open?
Would it? Who me?
Yeah.
Cyril? Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
you.
Do you have nature
Okay.
trained?
I do not have it trained.
All right. Well, you can make an Arcana check.
Does any one of us have nature trained? Because
Oh.
I do not.
I got
It's funny.
religion.
We're a bunch of elves, and nobody has it.
Is bardic inspiration still in effect?
No.
It's a
No.
one-time thing.
You used it, yeah. Sorry, but it was good when you used it.
Nope. A 9.
I'm going to actually blow my inspiration. That's a 17, Andy.
Oh,
So
lovely. Thank
nice.
you.
It definitely does not have a discernible anatomy that you're familiar with. It looks like it has a very strange interior structure with a numerous amount of vein-like structures running through a very dense, packed kind of musculature. But this muscle doesn't appear to be fleshy. It almost appears to be sponge-like. It has a very strange like network of almost vine-like parts running through the sponge that seem to contract and move even still a little bit when you kind of pressure at certain points, which makes you kind of whoa. But it seems to be more reflexive than anything. And from what you can tell, even the eyes seem to have a very strange nature to them. They don't appear to be similar to like a normal mammalian or even other living kind of creatures' eyes. They don't seem to be like a fluid-filled sac with the like in it. They seem to be kind of like almost solidified kind of bits of almost to your surprise, Halo, glass-like structures in the head, almost stone-like structures that have been kind of formed in the face.
When you say formed, that you don't mean like made.
So when your
right?
eye is kind of going through the process of becoming an eye, it forms. What I mean to say is instead of like fluid sacs filling up in your socket, like crystal structures formed instead.
So Cyril would say, I don't know if it comes from this plane of existence.
And I'm going to give you one last word on it. It almost seems plant-like.
Would this be a
I mean, I
schism?
kind of-
Would he know that?
I kind of figured out it was going to be plant-like from the description you gave. It sounds woody.
Mm-hmm.
So is this like dark wood or something, or live wood?
God.
I'm out of the conversation. See all you guys.
He's out.
Hat tip.
Way above my
Um,
pay grade.
Yeah.
No more gifts.
So do we think it is what we've been talking about?
I think it's a schism, but it would not be me who would think that. It would be Andy's character.
I mean, your character can think too, Kevin.
Yeah, but I mean, I probably wouldn't have. I mean, he probably wouldn't have shared that with us. The schism stuff he did all this research on, so he would probably
No,
know a lot more.
he just said that he shared that stuff. Didn't you
Oh,
say that, Andy?
I did,
He said
yeah.
it
I
right
just
now
I
out loud
did.
in the group with us.
Yeah.
That's why I clarified. He said he
Then-
said it out loud to all of us, so we're all
Okay.
in the.
All right. Well, in that
The
case,
only
then I
thing you
probably
guys
would.
don't know about are the pirates on the Rended Isle.
Yeah,
That's
the
what we-
pirates you have not found out about yet.
Right.
But we
right.
all know about the schism.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
It's alarming that they've weaponized it, though. No.
Mm-hmm. If
Well,
it's
how do
if
we
it's
not
an-
know that it's always weaponized? That they're simply taking what it is.
Well, the fact that they're repurposing it and carrying it along with them on these missions is weaponizing it, right? I mean, you can weaponize a bear by putting a leash on it and letting go of the leash in the middle of a battlefield. We're arguing semantics.
On an unrelated aside, you can also weaponize a bear by stuffing it filled with thunderstones and detonating it on the
Launching it at
battlefield.
a catapult.
Yeah.
You can also weaponize a bear by strapping it with dynamite. Come on, man.
Fair enough. The thunderstones. You got thunderstones. If you got thunderstones, use thunderstones. Okay.
If you want, I can put out the word to my hunters that if they see any similar type things, start collecting information as they say it.
I think that would be wise.
If you do that, I suggest you not give away all the information. I'd rather they not necessarily know everything about this schism. That information might be better served going up as opposed to going out. We don't want to cause a panic.
Well, you write up what you want shared, and I'll share it.
And, Cyril, is there any way we could reach out to a network of others? So maybe someone else has more of a reference on this in another city or back in the capital.
Out of character.
Would I know that, John?
Out of character, you would know that the leading authority on the study of the schism is your family.
Yeah.
I
Okay. Yeah. And then I would, Cyril would turn to Alcantara and say that Lady Aristotle seemed a little coy with information about the schism, but now that we have this thing in our possession, when she comes to get it back, you might use that to our advantage to try to leverage some more information from her. Just a suggestion.
But I'm not going to be out and out as blunt about it as that. One must be coy when dealing with someone who's coy.
Well, that's why I'm leaving it to you. This is your area.
And being monster hunting is my area, may I suggest what might help them maybe take extra risks to get more information, however vague you want this to be, maybe offering some form of coinage as recompense for any dangers they might undertake.
The monster hunters?
Yet they don't work for free. Part of it is they do need to get paid for what they do.
Well, of course they need to get paid, but I don't necessarily feel like posting a bulletin out there, bring me so and so many. If they come across it, they will be compensated. If they do not, that's fine.
Lovely. So yeah, gets me whatever. And this is not to come off as like any kind of like tone of
Bribery.
It's simply just trying to it's like matter of fact. Give me what you want me to share, and I will put the word out.
And to make sure,
Oh yeah, no, I will.
yeah, to make sure I get the vibe here, I think Alcantara's saying no. She's going to hold it close to the chest. If your people find this thing, great, we'll give them extra money. But I'm not. Yeah.
Well, it's not to give them. It's like, hey, like there's rumors. Like in my head, it's like saying, hey, there's rumors of something out there. Just keep an eye out for anything out of the ordinary that we haven't encountered before.
Right, but you're not posting bounties like with a picture reward for.
No, yeah.
No,
Reward for the schism. Here is information on the schism.
Right,
It's
if
more
we
just sort of
have-
like strange rumors of squid-like creatures, if come across.
or we that you will, if people find adamantine balls, you know, have them return them to you for a bounty. You don't want to tell them not to open them. You don't want to open them up because this is going to kill. And then,
I'm not going to
So-
tell them to look out for adamantine balls because if
Yeah.
someone finds a ball, they're going to open it up regardless of whether or not they're told not to or not. I'm going to tell
Yeah.
them to look for creatures. Ball, like if they
Tell
find
them
an
to look for really hard balls. That's all. Be vague about it.
So they're
Yeah.
they're
Use
cylinders,
as many balls as they can until they find some that are abnormally hard.
But
and let
they're-
us know.
they're cylinders though. They're like really hard cylinders. They're not balls. You guys might have not heard the description. They're about 2 feet long and about a foot wide. So
they're
I
big
mean, to
dogs.
be fair,
aggressive.
I actually was thinking it was a box, not a cylinder, but I got the shape down.
yeah,
They were the ones that started talking about it, and I just...
I thought it was like a bowling ball. That's
No.
what I was picturing.
It
in
is
my head.
certainly a
Especially when you
cylinder.
said the thing with the hand.
Yeah.
You said the thing with the hand. I'm thinking it's a bowling ball.
right. You can palm the top of it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
So-
about a foot wide.
To clarify, the thing that would be getting put out would be rumors of strange squid-like
I'll-
creatures.
I will actually, in real life, write something up specifically about this. I'm like, that was just basically a basic, 2-second, this is generally what I'm going to say.
Cool. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I will actually write something up specifically.
All right, sounds great.
Good. All right. It being late in the evening of the in-game day, Cyril, are you taking the creature in its current casing back with you to do more studying?
Sure.
We are at the tower, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Currently in the
Securing
teleportation
it.
circle room.
Yeah, securing it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would be afraid that it would come back to life or there would be some residual magic, but just taking kind of care in that way.
Okay. If you inspect it for a time, you would realize that it doesn't appear to have any regenerative qualities. It definitely seems to be decaying, actually, slowly, but you can sense signs of it decaying from the blast wound, the sharp note that went straight through the main core of it. It's dead. It is very dead.
Right. And also, before he even really starts examining it like that, Alcantara would probably just say to the room at large, "Alright, well, the rest of you may leave. I need to speak with Cyril."
You're dismissed.
As you wish.
He's been waiting the whole game. 2 sessions.
I know, right? I know.
Tim's thinking about how he's going to respond.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
like,
trying to.
wouldn't you
I
be
don't
relieved?
know if I would say something like I don't know if it'd be smart Alfie because I'm not trying to piss you off, but it's just some form of that works for me.
You see my halo flares a little color of almost a little like a red kind of passionate color.
Like an FU.
Fly off.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Whatever, man.
Hey, listen.
Listen. Oh, I love
Gosh,
it.
if
Gonna
you
play
start
this
doing
game?
that, you start doing that.
Leaf, do you also leave?
Yes. Yep.
All right. You've got Cyril alone in the. I assume he moves to his laboratory, his own kind
Yeah,
of.
he asked Arave to clean up in the room.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I would wait till we are alone to.
Do you want us to go to secret time too, you son of a bitch?
Hmm.
No. It's fine. I'm just saying, Alcantara just is waiting for Cyril to be by himself before she discusses what she wants to discuss.
What a
So
shoot.
yes, actually, if you do want to go to see, no, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Don't. Yeah, so basically what I would want to do is explain what was explained to me by both Maddox Corbin and by, I believe his name was Reams,
Mm-hmm.
about what was going on, and basically that I didn't necessarily trust all that Reams was saying. It just seems off.
Now this is the pirate stuff.
This is the pirate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, the letters about the Rob Tier Society and how it just doesn't seem in their nature to be so careless with a message. If they were given one, I feel like it would be memorized and destroyed. I sincerely doubt they'd want to hold on to such an incriminating piece of evidence against them. I had, dang, what's her name?
Elisha? Naxi.
Naxi. I had Naxi follow him, but she hasn't gotten back to me yet. I'm hoping she has some information. But I do not trust Reams. Whether or not it is a willful deception or a plant by whoever's actually in control of the pirates, I'm not sure. It just seems too simple, though.
Yeah, what would be in their benefit for this deception?
I'm not entirely sure. If anything, they can be a bit scoundrel-esque, but I don't know if they'd go so far as to poke a bear which might be prepared to go to war. If anything, I would see them trying to skirt around and avoid such.
So do you intend to reach out beyond your kingdom with this information, or hold it to yourself for now?
For now, I'd prefer to stay close to the chest. I feel as though, unless there is something more solid, people will consider it not worth their bother. If we have something worthwhile, then I think it would be good to draw attention to it. But for the time being, I feel as though the less people know, the better. If it turns out to be nothing, why necessarily alert the city guard, so to speak?
Right, so we will keep Alaire out of this at the moment.
For the time being. I do think it would be.
Said I'm not city guard, but okay.
Well, not about your safety for the city too. So
Tim,
sorry.
I was using a common expression of our people. It's just an idiom. I don't know what you're talking about.
Understood.
Okay. And do you return back to home after that?
Well, seeing as my other thought of whatever was in the box duplicated probably isn't going to pan out right now. Yeah, sure.
All right. So when you arrive back, you will be meeting up with your captain of the watch and Naxi. I will be discussing that matter with you in a private side chat. And the last thing for the night I would like done is for, I'm assuming, the terminus of your evening. Cyril is studying the creature at hand and comparing notes as well. Give me one more Arcana check on this one.
Yeah, I mean, is there any way that if I have notes from the library of...
There's nothing on these, no. Yeah.
25.
Yes. Nice.
Your study of arcane creatures and magical beasts and the like tells you that this is definitely an aberrant form. It is not a type other than aberration. So it is not humanoid, it is not plant, it is not beast, it is not anything to that effect, monstrosity, what have you. It is certainly an aberration. It would appear that it has a lot in common with plant-like structures from what you can tell. And from what you can tell as well, is it looks like it was about halfway through the process of creating a secondary form. It looks like the number of tentacles that are present looks like some of them are newer than the tentacles present on the other half of it. It looks like it did not have 2 claws to start with. Looks like a second claw was formed. So based on what you're able to discern from it, it being killed saved you from it splitting into 2.
Okay, that's what you
Alright.
mean by secondary form, just like a yes. Okay.
A duplicate.
Mm-hmm.
But since it was killed, that process, this I'm trying to think of what it's called when a cell splits into 2.
Meiosis?
That's the one.
Yes, that's the one.
The strange meiosis of the creature was stopped when it was terminated. And that is where I will cut it off for the evening. Thank you for watching. We'll pick up in a week, and have a good night.